In the few years that are leading up to the start of UA, Janet has been working on extending the life of her little friends. And these little friends are very, very energetic about it. So they're flying around, they're dancing. She understands what they're trying to say because bees and wasps and burrowing bees, or carpenter bees, communicate in patterns and pheromones. She can understand them because she's part bee. Now, duh. And she goes, "You guys can calm down. I'm doing this for me, not you." And they just continue flying around like, "Yay, yay, yay. We can stay here longer." And she goes, "Okay, okay, calm down. Go into your home." And she opens up the door, and they all fly in because they know when she opens up the door, go in, or you're getting left out. So she shuts the thing, and she plugs up the entry and exit hole that she made for them. And she's changed the design of it. It's like a backpack now, but it hangs lower on the back. If anybody can know what I'm doing, it's part of her hero costume now. I'll be right back. I gotta eat some breakfast. Okay, I'm back. And hey guys, it's the Unsmooth Criminal. Back here with part 2 of What If deku was the wasp, because you guys have been asking for it. No, a lot of you in the comments. Oh, and I have 2 admins that are pretty much always watching my Discord. So if you guys want to join the Discord, you can ask in the comments for the link. If I don't get to you, Mina or Laz, or also known as El Roman Sis, will get you, and they're probably both watching this video right this second. So my goal is to get to 1,000 subs by the end of the summer, so I can start live streaming for you guys. So I need 500 subs. No, not 500. Damn it. 400 from the time I'm recording this. So if you guys could help me get to 1,000 subs so I can start live streaming a What If idea. I don't know if anybody else has done this because I don't go to their channels and watch their live streams. I know the Crown Clown does live streams. I think he just live streams him saying the stories. I don't know. But I would like to start a live streaming. And I have a video on my channel explaining what my live streams are. It's called I think it's You Choose What Ifs or something. Choose What Ifs, something like that. It's like a 5, 6, 10-minute video. So go watch that, see how listen to how the live streams are supposed to work. If you guys like that concept, please consider subscribing. Help me get to 1,000 so I can start live streaming and so I can start making money off this. Because once I start making money, I can get this content out for you even more. Because I have more motivation besides just entertaining you guys and myself. Because I like to do this for my job, and you guys can help me do that. And if I do this as my job, then you guys get more content, and sadly, there's ads. I'm sorry, but there's ads. But hopefully, you guys like my content enough to subscribe, and if you just consider leaving a like. And if you want to comment. It helps me greatly if you comment, like, and subscribe. It does. But if you're already subscribed, like the video. If you already liked it, try commenting. It's not that hard. Just say some helpful words or some helpful advice for me. I'd love it. Let's get on to the what if. I've rambled on about myself too long. And about the channel too long. So, she's been working on her friends for the last 2 years. And she's mapped out the biology of a hornet or black or yellow jacket, whatever you call it. And they are changing. It's not a big change, it's just a small change every few months where they get smarter and they get smarter. Because just being around her and listening to her talk and understanding her because of her quirk, they can understand her talk. Not anybody else, just understand her. They're starting to learn how to understand everybody else and one of them on one day, it's like a month before, it's like a month before the exams. One of them goes in front of her, and it's in normal size, and she's currently writing something, and it starts spelling something out on the paper. And she continues writing, and she sees this and starts writing what it's trying to write. And it's a jumble of letters and numbers. It's trying to say something. And she notices that they're all just staring at what she's writing. And she's like, oh, okay, I need to test this. And she didn't know this, but her quirk also affected their biology. Because they've already lived longer than the normal lifespan of a hornet. They've lived for... Then she's 16 now. She had them when she was 7.5. 8.5. She's had them for 8.5 years. But she writes down food, play, and she says, go to which one you want. And every single one of them goes to the food category. Except for one. The one that was trying to write wanted to play. And she laughed, being like, what can you do to play? And she put out her finger, it crawled on in. It started to look like it's dancing. It's trying to communicate again. And it's basically saying stuff to her, because pheromones and movement in a hornet and bee colonies or hives can communicate via movement and pheromones. And she understands what it's saying, and she goes, oh, so you want to... Oh, okay, so you guys want to do that. And so she pulls out the home, and she opens it. They all go into the home, and she goes, okay, how should I do this? And so she goes, I'll make a maze for you guys. And the one that wanted play was like, yeah. And the other ones were saying, no, 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 basically. And she goes, don't worry, you guys will get smarter from this, and hopefully you guys will be able to interact with other people besides just me. So you can get more food and more fun. And they hear food and fun, and they start going, yeah, yeah, yeah. So she makes a maze. And at the end of it, she puts some food for them. I forget what hornets eat. I think they eat honeybees or honey from a bee colony. I don't remember. I know I searched it up at one point for a science class. Haven't bothered to go for it. But she puts some food at the end, and she goes, okay, guys, there's food at the end of this maze. You guys have to solve it. And it has a glass roof, so they can't fly up, go back down. They have to go straight through. Like rats. And so she opens it up, and she uncorks it. Literally, it's a cork that stops them from leaving at the time. She uncorks it and puts the hole into the entrance of the maze. And she goes, okay, guys, you can go. And they all start going through the maze. And one of them finds the food really quickly, and he runs back to the beginning and starts leaving a pheromone trail to have them follow, like ants do. Ants leave a pheromone trail, and the higher the density of pheromones, the more ants that go that direction, that increase the density of the pheromones. That's how they find food and make a workers line to get all the food. Yeah, I'm telling you guys a lot of information about insects that you didn't already know. If you go to the Ant Canada channel, that's where I kind of get some of my insect knowledge. But he just does it for ants. And sometimes beetles and worms. And maggots. So, you guys can go look at him if you guys aren't afraid of bugs. Because if you're afraid of bugs, you're going to hate what I'm going to do next. And all of them start lining up and getting prepared for a expedition off this direction. Because it's been going back and forth. And it's been bringing food back. And she's been seeing this and goes, oh, so you're the smartest one out of everybody. Because it hugged the left wall. Like a human would. And she goes, you're the one who's been out the longest, haven't you? And it flies out of the big hatch and it basically lands on her and starts spelling again. And this is the same one that wanted play instead of food. And this is the same one that's been writing. And it's a lot smarter than the rest of them because it's been with her the longest. And she goes, okay, what are you trying to spell? And so it tries to spell a word, but she can't understand it. So she writes every few letters that it tries to spell or tries to put down. And she's trying to decode it. And Power comes in and sees that she's basically playing with her wasps. And he goes, oh, did I interrupt something? And she goes, no. I'm seeing how intelligent they are now. And he goes, wait, what? And she goes, yeah. If they're intelligent enough to write, I could use them as reconnaissance. And I can use them as helping in like flood situations for scouting. I can use them for infiltration. Because a wasp on the roof, you're not going to see. Unless you guys are looking for wasps on the roof. And he goes, true. You're getting scarier and scarier by the day. And she goes, what do you mean? I'm just going to be the wasp hero. And he goes, yeah, exactly. A lot of people are afraid of wasps and are allergic to wasps. And she goes, I know. But they're really loyal. And he goes, I know. I've seen you basically put them through the ringer. You trained your freaking wasps. How the hell does that work? And she goes, the same way training a human body works? Duh. And he goes, no, it doesn't. I've seen the entire anatomy of a wasp, and I've seen the anatomy you've gotten from your wasp. And they're different. And she goes, they are? And he goes, yeah. And he brings out an insect encyclopedia, and he flips over to the wasp. And she sees the notes that this person has, and sees that wasps are not intelligent. They're just hunting creatures that don't do much else except hunt and survive. And she looks at hers, and it shows that she has very intelligent wasps, and that they're pack hunters. And she's like, oh, okay, that's strange. And he goes, no, not with you. Apparently your quirk affects wasps. And she goes, no, it's affected bees, wasps, burrowing bees. And he goes, wait, what? And she goes, yeah. I have a bee queen in my hive, and I have a ant queen in my hive. And he goes, wait, what? She goes, yeah. And she opens up the door and pulls out the bee and ant queen, and she shows them and then puts them back where they were. And she divided this into 3 sections, and it's a huge... And she made it into the shape of a stinger. It's a huge stinger at this point. And she has 3 abdomens on her back. So she has the top one for the bees, she has the middle one for the yellow jackets, and she has the bottom one for the ants. And it's a massive backpack. And she's like, this is the average everyday backpack that I'm going to be using. But for certain missions, I'll only take a certain abdomen. And he goes, okay, First off, why the hell did you not tell me you got more? And second off, are they calm? Are they trained? And she goes, oh, they're trained. The ants are the smartest ones we have. And he goes, what do you mean? And she goes, gather. And she puts out her hand on the table, and they leave the bottom abdomen through the stinger. And the stinger's made out of metal, so she could jab it into a wall and say, they leave, and they go through the wall. And they all climb onto her hand, and they make a hand, and it starts waving. And she goes, see? They're smart. Okay, you guys can go home. And they leave and go back into the stinger. And he goes, okay, what about the bees? And she goes, oh, I'm still training them. They're not very smart. I'm working on the wasps right now. And he goes, wait, what? And she goes, yeah. I see what their food is when they're in the wild, and I've kind of changed that a little. I changed it to honey, so they're working on eating honey and surviving off of honey. And he goes, that's a big evolutionary change. She goes, yeah. Yeah. And if you guys don't want to know the ship, you can end it on this episode because the ship's coming next episode. I know exactly who I'm shipping her with. And it's going to be freaking hilarious. The ship. And if Mina can guess it, well, he needs to put it in the comments. Mina, that's your challenge. Guess the ship. Let's get back onto the story. And so it's the next few months, and it's now the entrance exams. And she's just in the lab working on everything. And she's trying to fix a serum that will change her wasps. She's trying to fix up a serum to change the wasps' genetic code so they can have vocal cords. So when she's small, they're roughly their size, she can understand them. So they don't need to do anything. So she asked one of the other ones, but the smart one was the volunteer. And she goes, are you sure about this? And he goes, yeah. And it's a he. I'm not making all wasps female. That'd be strange. So this wasp is just there. And this wasp is waiting and waiting and waiting. And the 0-pointer drops to the floor, and it rumbles all of UA, and she drops a drop of this liquid. And it was supposed to be the serum, and he's been waiting a few days, or this wasp has been waiting a few days, and it sees the serum drop, and this wasp, still not being as intelligent as humans, thinks, oh, this must be the finished serum, and she wants me to eat it. So he walks up to it and drinks it. And this wasp falls over almost dead. And she's like, oh, Scheiße. Which is shit in German. Scheiße. And she shrinks, and all the wasps gather around. They're like, what happened? And she's checking, and he's still alive. He goes, oh, good. And a few days later, he wakes back up from a almost death-like sleep. And it's the first day of UA. It's been like 2 weeks. And she's literally had him outside of the colony for the entire time, having the colony take care of him. And this serum did more than just change their genetic code for them to have vocal cords. This gave him a bigger brain. He big brain now. And he wakes up and he's like, where am I? And he says hello and power loader hears a squeak, and he looks over, and he doesn't see Janet. So he's like, must be my imagination. And this wasp, hearing power loader's name, power loader, a lot of the time, flies up to power loader and goes, so, power loader, what you doing? And this wasp is now curious. And what everybody does. Yes, what everybody does. What everybody's doing around. And he keeps hearing squeaking, and he's looking around, and he doesn't see Janet. And so he's like, okay, let me check on that one wasp. And he looks over, and he doesn't see the wasp on the bed. And he goes, oh, crap. So he calls up Janet and says, I don't know where your wasp went. And he just hangs up the phone. And she was forced into the hero course because, as I was like, you have made an incredible invention, and you have the strength of 10 times your body weight. So you are joining my class, and you will be okay with it. And she goes, as long as if power loader calls, I get to go to him. And he goes, that's fine. So they're in the middle of class, and her phone rings. And it's a buzzing sound. And this is a very strange buzzing sound because no one's heard of it before. And this buzzing sound is the ringtone for power loader. And she has a different buzzing sound for all of them. And it's just barely audible to most people. She picks up her phone and sees that it's power loader and answers it, going, yes. And he goes, I can't find your wasp. And she goes, what? And she yelled this. And that's how it goes, okay. Everybody, let's get back to class. And she runs out of the class, shrinks, and flies towards power loader at super speeds. And everybody's like, aren't you going to stop her? And he goes, nope. That was the promise I made to her, that if she gets called by power loader, she get to go. And they go, but she wasn't in the entrance exams. And he goes, I know. She wasn't in the entrance exams because she didn't need it. And they go, what do you mean she doesn't need it? And he goes, she's more powerful than Todoroki and Bakugo combined. And they go, bull crap. And he goes, nope, I'm dead serious. She can lift 10 men in one arm. And when she shrinks, she can lift 10 times that. And they go, she has a shrinking quirk? And he goes, nope, she has a wasp quirk. And Kota starts shaking and shivering. And he goes, don't worry, they're all in the support course classroom. And he starts to calm down. And a wasp flies by. And he screams. And as I was like, whoa, don't you dare hit that wasp. And Kota's screaming, and he runs to the back of the class, and he sees the stinger. And he goes, and he just points. And Aizawa goes, oh, crap. Kota, I suggest you leave the classroom. And Kota looks over, and he sees ants, bees, and wasps flying around this stinger. And he goes, and he screams even louder. He's screaming bloody murder at this point. And everybody's like, okay, so bugs aren't his forte. And he's currently running down the hall, screaming his head off. And she gets to the support course class, and she sees her big hive and sees that the little table that she left out with the little guy on it is empty. And she looks over at power loader and sees a little wasp hanging on his head, upside down on his little visor thing. And she flies over and is right in front of power loader, squeaking. And all he hears is squeak, 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 squeak. But she's really talking to the hornet, and it talks back. And it's like, oh, hey, your name's Janet, right? And she goes, yeah. which one are you? And he goes, oh, my name's Kuruma. You named me that after the anime? She goes, oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Kuruma. And she hugs him. And she goes, yes, it worked. And Power Loader sees her hug something and goes, oh, apparently it worked. And so she goes, okay, you get to join me in class. And he goes, what's class? Because he still doesn't know very much about the world. And she goes, class is what I've been doing while I haven't been here. But you've been asleep for multiple weeks, so you wouldn't know. And he goes, okay, I shall join you. And he flies with her all the way back to class. And Kota runs by screaming his head off. And she's like, I don't know what that is. And he goes, I don't either. So let's just keep going. And she goes, yeah, right. Oh, hi, Leo. Hi, kitty. Come here, Leo. Come here. Hi, buddy. Yeah. Hi. 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 My cat just showed up. So, Kuruma flies with her all the way back to class, and she grows to normal size, and she says, sorry about that. My experiment worked, and say hi to Kuruma. And she holds him out, and they're like, what? And she goes, this is my most intelligent wasp, and he can talk to me. And they go, no, that's not possible. Insects can't talk. And she goes, there's two ways for an insect to talk. Movement and pheromones when they're not intelligent. But I made a serum, and I called it the PIM particle. It could affect a human body different than an insect, but it gives the insect a vocal cord because it changes their genetic code to allow this. And Bakugo's like, bullcrap. What does it do to humans? And she goes, it shrinks them to the size of an insect. And he goes, ha, there's no such thing as a PIM particle. And she goes, oh, really? You want to see? Since you don't have an exoskeleton-like skin, you can use this suit. And she pressed the button, and it's a suit. And she calls this the Ant-Man suit. She goes, anybody wants to try on the Ant-Man suit and talk to Kuruma, you can. And she goes, but it will also be a little tight to some of you. And she looks at Shoji, and Shoji goes, no, thank you. I prefer not to know intelligent insects. Because I'd prefer just to see insects as insects. And she goes, fair. And Kota is running in the halls, and she goes, what happened there? And Aizawa goes, he saw a wasp from that, and points at her outfit, and he goes, and your insect queen persona for hero work is very, very detrimental to his mental health. And she goes, oh, yeah, I kind of expected that. So, when Kota calms down, he walks in, and there's no insects flying around, and the food's all gone on the plate that she put out. It's all in the hives where it's supposed to be, but the bees are still going in and out of the window in a orderly fashion. And she goes, okay, Kota, I know you see insects and you're scared, but I would like you to put this on. And she pulls out a suit, and it's going to be a little tight on him. And he goes, why? And she goes, so you can understand what they do. This will help you communicate with them because they do listen to people. And he goes, okay. And what's going to happen? And she goes, this suit makes you smaller so you can understand Kuruma. And he goes, who's Kuruma? And she pulls out a wasp from her hair because he's been staying in her hair so he didn't freak out Koda. She pulls out a wasp and says, "This is Kurama. He can speak, but you must be smaller to understand him because his vocal cords are very small. All you hear is high-pitched squeaking, if you can hear it." And so he goes, "Okay." So he puts on the suit, and it's a little tight around the manly bits. And he clicks the button, and he shrinks. And she puts her hand down, and he jumps onto it, and she puts him in the other hand with Kurama, and Kurama starts speaking with him, and she puts them on the table, and she shrinks and walks up to them and goes, "Hi." And her uniform is not shrinkable. So she's in her costume that you see on screen, because I'm going to make her use this costume. And he sees this and goes, "Is that your hero costume?" And she goes, "Maybe. I still have a few kinks to work out, but I think so." And he goes, "Okay, so you're Kurama?" And he goes, "Yes, I'm Kurama." And I'm giving him a deep voice for absolutely no reason. Other than I think a tiny little wasp getting a deep voice would be funny. That's the only reason why I gave him a deep voice. And Kurama is the nine-tailed demon fox. So, that's also a reason. And she goes, "Okay, Kurama, stop trying to intimidate people." And he goes, "But why?" And she goes, "It's not funny." He goes, "It was. He was scared for a second." She goes, "I know, but you're the most intelligent wasp here. You know and understand human speech. You can actually speak in human speech. So, you need to be wary of who you're talking to, because he's terrified of insects." And he goes, oh, and then you don't want to see the video I was about to have her show you. And she goes, "No, hell no. I am not doing that to him." And Koda's like, "What video?" And he goes, "Oh, that's simple." And her phone does not shrink with her. So he basically flies over to her phone. He presses the power button. He presses the code into the phone. And he pulls up a video on YouTube. And it starts playing. You just got stick bug, buddy. If anybody knows that meme, good on you. I hate that meme. But he starts going, "Oh God, oh God." And she goes, "It's just a video on my phone. There's no friggin' stick bugs. I haven't found any." And he goes, "Okay." And she goes, "I found every kind of ant, though. I have 15 different ant colonies. 2 of them are crazy ant colonies. Those things are fun to play with." And Koda goes, "Do you have any intelligent ants?" And she goes, "Yes and no. Ever since, well, not yet, actually. But ever since I found found out that this worked on my wasps, I want to try them out on my baby queen ants." And he goes, "You have baby queen ants?" She goes, "Yeah, I have baby queen ants. The one thing about queen ants is they can't be in the same colony or they're going to kill each other. So my baby queen ants, I had to move to a new colony so they can grow from there. So I have 2 crazy ant colonies. One has a baby queen ant, so it's not very mature. So I was going to test it out on that one. And, well, actually, no. I think my queen ant's about to end her life. Or is the disease going through it? I forgot what happened to my crazy ant colony. I haven't checked in a few days. I need to check it. And Kurama goes, "Oh, the main queen ant colony, or crazy ant colony, has the fungus disease." And she goes, "Oh no, it had my favorite crazy ant." And he goes, "That one has been saved. I saved that one." And she goes, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah. The top of the thing was a little open, so I kind of took him out and put him in the hornet colony and until you can get there. So he's currently in the hornet colony being guarded by other hornets that I kind of asked to guard him." And she goes, "Oh, you are the best." And he goes, "I know." And he's getting a cocky little laugh going. And she goes, "You don't get any food tonight." And he goes, "Damn it." And she goes, but since you helped my favorite crazy ant, you get some food. And he goes, I think she was also turning into a queen. And she goes, what? Oh my god, I need to test it on the baby queen. So she grows and says, Aizawa, I have some work to do. I'm taking Koda and Kurama. And he goes, okay, after class, I'm going to be testing you and Koda at the training field. She goes, okay. So she runs over to the support course and starts messing with the formula. And Koda is currently still talking with Kurama, trying to understand what the instincts of a insect is, because he thinks that they're still really creepy, but he's getting used to being around Kurama. Because Kurama currently can't bite him because the suit is made out of titanium. And the bite strength of a wasp can't go through titanium, so he's safe. And Kurama says to Koda that Kota is the little guy with the horns on his hat. Koda is the guy in Class 1A. Okay. Making sure I'm saying that right. Kurama is talking with Koda, and she's currently working away at the genetic codes of a crazy ant, and she sees that it's not that much different from a hornet. And so she just changes a few things in the formula, and she feeds it to the baby queen ant. The baby queen ant does the same thing Kurama did. 2 weeks later, voila. And by this time, her favorite crazy ant has turned into a queen. And she's made a home for her that is completely tick-free and disease-free. So she can have a new home with new friends. And she tasked all the hornets and had Kurama lead them to get all the clean crazy ants and put them in the new home so they can help the new queen. And so they did. They got 2 extra crazy ants from the old colony. And they also cleaned those 2 crazy ants from ticks that were on their legs. Because they had a few ticks on their legs. So she's like, okay, so I need to find a way to have a self-regulating system. And so she's like, ooh, if I can make the crazy ants intelligent, then make all the other ants intelligent, then me. So she's planning on making all of her insects intelligent, all of the queens at least. So she immediately starts working on the bee one, because she just used pretty much the same formula just for bees, crazy ants, and all the other insects. But she changed it so the insect can survive and understand what's happened to them. And so 2 weeks later, they've already done the test, which I'm going to go through that real quick. She goes after school, and Aizawa's like, hey, okay, so Janet Aizawa. And she goes, I'm not your daughter. And he goes, I don't care. I adopted you. You take my last name. She goes, but, damn it. So you have to do the test that I've been doing to you every year. And she goes, I know. So she goes into small form, and she picks up the ball, and she's holding it with 2 arms because it's awkward to hold when she's small. So she flies up and chucks it, and they just see it go. And he goes, okay, good. Now, go to big form and throw it again. And he sees in small form, it's twice the distance that she threw last year, of 152 meters. And she goes, okay. So she picks it up in big form, and she throws it again. And it goes 765 meters. And Bakugo's not around to see that his score has been beat. Koda sees that, and he grows to normal size, and he takes the helmet off and says, that was actually kind of fun talking to Kurama. And she goes, okay, you can talk to Kurama whenever, you just need to use the suit. It'll be in the support course. Actually, no, it'll be in 1A. It'll be in 1A. After he forced me into 1A. So they go through the rest of the training, and she does 1-armed pull-ups. Then another armed pull-ups. Then she goes to all four arms, and she just pull up, 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 at almost super speed. Come on, Jack. Come here. The cat Jack is here. So, she's super strong, and she shrunk down to the size of her normal size of a wasp, and she flew at supersonic speeds because she is tiny and she has enough strength to push her wings to that speed. But what she's never shown people is that when she grows to full size, her wings grow with her because she's normally kept them small. So as I was like, okay, you need to do that again, full size this time. And she goes, but, and he goes, no buts. I know you're trying to say that. I can't understand you. No buts. And she goes, fine. And all they hear is a squeak. And he goes, okay, now, do it again. And she goes, and her wings grow. And they're not the butterfly wings. They're not the bee wings. They're the wasp wings. And these wings are a lot bigger than what people thought they would be compared to her. They're twice her size if they're flat out. So one wing is her size, her height. Jack, come here. Come here. Come here, buddy. Yeah. Yeah. Hi, buddy. Yeah, my cats are now bugging me. But she does it again, and she flies barely faster than Ida's run. And he's like, oh my god, you're fast. And she goes, yeah, I kind of fly and not run, so I don't have any friction against the ground to slow me down. And he goes, I understand that. And she goes, well, that's all. I'm going back to my support class so I can continue working on my project and hopefully make sure this project is successful. And she goes back to support class. It's 2 weeks later, and the Heroes vs. Villains is the next day. And all the insects finally wake up. And she's like, oh, it worked! And she goes to their sides, and they're talking. They're actually talking, communicating with each other. So she's like, okay, so... And she designates all the ones that can talk as queens, except for the crazy ant one. She goes, you're not a queen. She is the queen. And this crazy ant that was originally a baby queen goes, okay, as you wish. And she steps down as queen, which doesn't really work. She just kills herself. And she goes, I didn't want you to kill yourself. I would have made you another hive, but she's the main queen. Oh, well. And she gave the formula to the new queen, and the new queen still has the production, because even when she's asleep, she produces. And she goes, please wake up by tomorrow, please wake up by tomorrow. And she's just sleeping there that night, and Power Loader walks in the morning and sees that she slept there. And she had a little bed and a little shelf on the top rack that she had all the insects on, and she had a little bed with him. And she wakes up, and she sees that the crazy ant queen that she just gave the serum to finished up. And she's like, wow, that was fast. And the crazy ant queen is female. The bee, the honeybee, the burrowing bee, and all of them are female. Or no, the burrowing bees aren't. I don't know if they have queens. I don't think so. So she didn't do those. She only did the queens of hives. And so all the ants, the wood, the leaf cutter ants, the crazy ants, fire ants, black ants. She has every kind of ant. She has every kind of bee that can go into a hive. And she's using Kurama to communicate with the other insects. And she says that Kurama will be my proxy for you guys. And anything Kurama says, go with. And she's explaining all this, and they're understanding because they're freaking intelligent. She made them intelligent. Whoa! That'd be freaking scary, though. An intelligent race of insects, besides just a hive mind. That'd be freaking terrifying. Just imagine woodcutter ants as a intelligent race. Ugh. The army swarms you in one instead of slight swarm and slight swarm in waves. No, they all gather up in a giant pack and then swarms you at once instead of just wave after wave after wave. So, so she's like, yes! And she has bags under her eyes. She's normal size. And Power Loader's like, were you here all night? And she goes, I don't know. And she stretches. And she goes, what time is it? And he goes, past school starting. And she goes, crap, Dad's gonna kill me. And Power Loader hears this and goes, so he's dad now? And she goes, no, I just said that on accident. Just ignore that. And he goes, no, you said dad. And she goes, no, I didn't. He goes, yes, you did. I got an audio recorder. And Kurama walks up and stings him in the finger he bites him in the finger. And he drops the recorder, and the recorder smashes on the ground, and she starts laughing. He's like, good job, Kurama. Let's run. And she shrinks and flies away. And she took the crazy ant queen with her, and she took all the ant queens with her. And so what she's doing is she's informing them on the way there, because she currently has them in a little box that she's carrying. She's informing them on the way there that anything that she says is a opportunity for them to get stronger, because she's going to be working to help them get stronger and grow a colony big enough so that they can survive forever. And they all pledge allegiance to her because they're her. She's their queen, literal queen, because her quirk has been mutating ever since she's been around bugs. So she's literally the insect queen. That's her quirk's name now. Insect queen. So we go to the heroes versus villains. And she gets in there late. And she's in shrunken form. So she has everything on. But all the insects are currently on the ground. And she told them to get there quickly because she's going to be a little late. So everybody just sees this giant clump of insects just showing up, and they're like, okay. And she just appears by growing, and she just squats down and just squats there. And she goes, okay, you can start. And All Might's like, oh, young Janet. And she goes, thank you for not saying my last name. And he goes, you're welcome. Still terrified of you and your bugs. And she goes, I know, it's great. Everybody's terrified of me. And Koda walks up going, I kind of am not. And she goes, yeah, I also gave you a suit that protects you from the bugs. And he goes, yeah, it fits pretty well. And he starts moving in it. He starts doing jumping jacks in it. And she's like, if you guys remember Koda's hero suit, that's what it looks like, but with the Ant-Man helmet on. So yeah. And he has a communicator for when Janet shrinks, because he wants to work with her a lot more. So he kind of made this communicator so it shrinks with her. It's an organic circuit board. If anybody knows that SCP, good for you. But it's an organic circuit board made out of Janet's hair and some metals. And he has a normal one on his ear that shrinks with him because it's in the helmet. And his helmet is also a microphone, so it goes louder as he uses his quirk. So the heroes versus villains starts with Janet and Koda versus Bakugo and Ida. No. Yeah, Bakugo and Ida. Actually, you know what? It's Janet and Uraraka, Bakugo and Ida. So Janet has to team up with Uraraka, and Uraraka sees that she is talking to bugs, and she goes, crazy. And she says some negative things about Janet. And Janet goes, so when these save your life, I'm gonna have you eat those words. And Kuruma stings her in the back of the neck, because she insulted the queen. Long live the queen! God save the queen! I'm sorry. I'm making fun of the English speakers of the people that are watching me. Sorry. But that's kind of the same context. God save the queen! That's basically what Kuruma's thinking. And she feels a sting on the back of her neck, and she's about to smash Kuruma. And Janet grabs her arm, saying, if you do that, they attack. And the entire swarm of like 120 wasps come out of her backpack. And she goes, you hit him, they attack. So I don't suggest you do that. She goes, that asshole stung me. This asshole stung me. And she goes, I know. I'm going to discipline him later. Now, if you hit him, they attack. So put your hand down before you go get killed by poison. Because enough wasp poison can kill somebody. And wasps have the ability to sting, pull out, and sting again, injecting more poison. Unlike honeybees, who if they sting, they lose their stinger and they die. So she goes, fine. And Kuruma's already on her shoulder, and she's still holding Uraraka's hand. And Uraraka goes, disgusting bug lady. And she goes, I don't care what you call me. Just don't hurt my friends, and we'll be fine. And Koda sees this and goes, oh, that was a bad move. Everybody asks why. And Koda says, apparently, and I got this from Kuruma, she was left in the forest when she was 4. And he's saying this because Janet doesn't know he knows this. And he says that Janet doesn't know I know this, so don't tell her that I told you. And everybody's like, okay, but who's Kuruma? And he goes, you saw the wasp that stung Uraraka? And they go, yeah, that's Kuruma. That's the apparently intelligent wasp. I can't keep track of them. And he puts on his helmet, and he goes, Kuruma, come here real quick. And Kuruma heard this because it's in high frequency vibrations that only insects and Janet can hear. And she goes, Koda, shut the hell up. I'm about to start this. And Uraraka's like, what do you mean? He's not talking. And she goes, yes, he is. He's using the communicator I use so he can talk to Kuruma easily. Kuruma shows up and he shrinks down and he goes, can you tell Janet that you told me? And I'm telling them. And he goes, I'ma die then. And he goes, no, you're her favorite wasp. And he goes, yeah, true. Okay. On one condition. And he goes, yeah, you get me my favorite food. And Koda goes, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, I'll try. And everybody sees Koda, who was scared of bugs a few weeks ago, talking to a bug. And they're like, what happened to Koda? And someone grabs a centipede and holds it in front of Koda, and Koda goes, ah! Because he's still not used to most bugs. He's used to Kuruma. That's it. And the other bugs normally follow Kuruma's lead, so as long as he's near Kuruma, he feels safe. But with centipedes, they don't understand Janet. Most bugs that aren't flying or bees, ants, wasps, things like that, don't understand Janet very easily. So he screams and he's scared, and Kuruma goes, still the same old Koda. I'll tell her, but you might also get punished too. And he goes, I'll take the punishment. Just get that thing away from me! And he's starting to scream, and he runs away, and he grows to full size, and he's still running as fast as possible. And everybody's like, okay. And someone pulls out their phone and waves over Kuruma, and Kuruma flies over, and they go, okay, if you can understand us, say you understand us. And she records it, and everything is in slow-mo in this, and she plays the audio back in slow motion, and they hear, yes, I can understand you. And they're freaking out, like, it actually talked! It talked! What the hell? And Kuruma's like, oh, okay, so I should tell Janet that. So he flies back to Janet, and Janet's like, okay, we can start now. And Uraraka's like, damn bugs. So stupid. And Janet goes, first off, bugs aren't stupid. They're intelligent, especially mine. Second off, bugs can help people a lot better than your damn gravity quirk. Because look, and she says, Recon 1, and all these friggin' bees come out, because it's a colony of bees in her backpack, mainly bees. And all these bees come out, and she holds one up, and she says, this bee has a camera on it. And she hands Uraraka a pair of goggles, and says, Recon 1, go. And they just fly into the building, because they understand where they need to go, because she's in front of that building, instead of any other building. And they go in, and she goes, put these on. And Uraraka does, and she sees out of all the cameras. And she goes, whoa, this is a lot of information. And she goes, nah. She just puts on a pair of goggles, and she goes, okay, number 302. Go into that room. And it flies underneath the door. And she goes, found the bomb. And she goes, what screen is 302? And she goes, bottom left middle. She goes, where is that? And she pokes the screen, the outside of it, and it looks like insect eyes, these goggles, and it zooms in on that so people can see it without much without much overload. And she sees and goes, oh. And she talks back into the radio and says, okay, everybody, all you guys, come out. I'm putting you away. And they all fly out, and they fly into the bin, and she goes, okay, thank you guys. And she puts them down on the side of the building. And she clicks a button on the case. And this umbrella-looking thing shoots out and covers it in a ball. If anybody's seen the maple atrocity skill, that's basically what happens. It shoots out around them, and it's a full-on ball covering them. And so they're safe, and she goes, okay, guys, be safe. And she puts the earpiece on top of it, and she goes, ready? And Uraraka goes, I don't know what to say. And she goes, you don't need to say anything, except that you're wrong about my bugs. And she goes, fine. You're right. I was wrong. Sorry. She goes, there you go. Now you can stop acting your spoiled rich kid attitude that you got from your parents being construction workers and wanting money, and drop that fake, I want to help my parents attitude, because I know that's fake. You a hoe. And Uraraka's like, the fuck you talking about, bitch? And she goes, exactly that. And everybody just sees Uraraka's posture change. And like, what happened to Uraraka? And Aizawa saw that posture change, because he's currently in the observation room. And he asks Kota for the headpiece real quick, and he slips it on, and he says, I know you can hear me. What are you talking about? And he takes the earpiece off and gives it back to Kota. And Janet puts on the earpiece again, and the custom earpiece from that, and says, Kuruma, you could leave my hair now and go and talk to them. I'll talk to them through you. So this hoe doesn't hear me 90% of the time. And she's currently in small form. she put on the earpiece and she's in small form. So all Uraraka is hearing is squeak, 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 squeak. And Kurama leaves her head because he was hiding in her hair, and he leaves her head because he was on top of her head. And so he flies over to the observation room, and he flies onto a monitor, and he basically flaps his wings a few times, notifying people that he's there. And so Aizawa took the idea of the slow-mo camera and pulled out a massive slow-mo camera, because they had that. And he starts recording Kurama, and slow motion takes a few seconds to process, and the audio takes a few seconds to process. So he turns off the video part and only puts up the audio. And he tells Kurama what's happening, and Kurama explains what Uraraka's goals are, her dreams for the future, and what she is. And he goes, okay, Uraraka's expelled. And everybody's like, what? And he goes, well, that happens when you get called out on your goals, your ideals, and your dreams for the future. And they go, but we don't even know if that's actually her true dreams for the future. And he goes, it is. And they go, how does she know that? And he goes, because I kind of had all y'all get spied on by her ants. And they go, what? And he goes, yeah, there's a ant in your hair, all of y'all. There's an ant in your hair with a microphone on it, and they put their hand in their hair, and they get to the top of their head, and they get bitten. And they go, ow! And he says, Koda, can you pull them out? And he goes, yeah. And they put their hands on their head, and Koda goes, come out. And all the ants climb onto the hands, and they pull them out, and like, holy crap, there are ants in our hair. There's only one, though. And Aizawa goes, there was only one. They have a recording device on their back, and they're there to help us. And they go, okay, so what now? And he goes, well, the next thing that happens is, Mineta, you're expelled. Who else was it? And Mineta's like, but why? And he goes, first off, your hair didn't need an ant, because first off, it's balls. You're a freaking sackhead. And I know your goals. You just want to impress ladies with being a hero. And he goes, is that so wrong? And Aizawa goes, yeah, very wrong. And how much time have I been recording? Oh, I gotta end it soon, because I'm doing the 600 sub special. The 1,000 sub special is going to be a choose your own adventure, or what if. So if you guys want to know how that works, go to the I think it's 2-ish videos before this. I have like a 10 to 15 minute video. Don't know how long it is, but it explains what I do in those what ifs. So, and Janet flies into the room, and they don't know she's there because of how small she is. So she just flies up to the bomb, and she flies into the bomb. She doesn't touch it. She flies into the bomb, and she sees the fake plastic explosives, and she disarms it. And Aizawa saw the disarm, and he goes, hero teams win. And Bakugo and Ida are like, what the fuck? And Uraraka's like, what the hell? And All Might's like, what do you mean? And he shows the little armed and disarmed button. And he goes, it gets disarmed if it's actually been disarmed, and it gets disarmed if someone touches the bomb. So, yeah. And All Might goes, well then, hero team wins. And everybody's like, what? How? And he shows the little green light in the middle saying, this was the first bomb we used. You should have started with this one, but this one's the first one we used. And it's been disarmed. Now we need to open it back up and rearm it. And it all of a sudden turns back on. And Janet flies out and grabs the bomb, saying, "It's done." And she flies out the window with it. She's carrying it, flying out the window. So she puts it down with the other bombs outside the observation room and flies back and grabs her dome. And she picks up the dome and she clicks the button, and the dome shrinks to an umbrella looking thing, and it goes back into a compartment. And she puts the containers back on her back. And they see this container, and there's now bugs coming out of it. And the bugs are all climbing all over her, and she starts giggling, being like, hey, I did it. Stop. And they see that she's having fun with bugs. Yes, she's having fun with bugs. I'm going to end it here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, please think about leaving a like, commenting, and subscribing if you're new. And I gotta say that every time because I want to get to 1,000 subs by the end of the summer. So if you guys know anybody who likes content like this, send it their way and see if they like my content. If they do, tell them to subscribe and like my stuff. Talk to you guys later.